Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting session on Python. Well, this session is about web scraping. My name is Rajan Chetri, and in today's session I'm going to share my experience and knowledge about what web scraping is. So let us start with the agenda first of all. So in today's session, first of all, we'll be understanding what exactly web scraping is. Once we have clearly understand the web scraping, we'll be talking about the various use cases where the web scraping is used. Well, that is going to convince us to use web scraping. For that, we need some tools. So, we'll be talking about the various tools that are used for web scraping. Once we have a fair understanding of the tools, we will use those tools in web scraping. So, let us start with what exactly is web scraping. Well, in a short statement, web scraping can be described as a highly effective method to extract data from websites. Yes, it's about extracting the data. But that is a very short definition. Let's try to understand web scraping more in detail. So, what exactly is web scraping? Web scraping can be easily understood as the automated gathering of data from the internet. This process of gathering data is nearly as old as the internet itself. Although web scraping is not a new term, it is more commonly known as screen scraping, data mining, web harvesting, and there are some variations which are available over the internet. So in other words, we can define web scraping as the practice of gathering data through any means. What those means can be. It can be interacting with any given API, or it can be reading the HTML from a web page directly. Now the question is that how it is accomplished. So in this process, we write an automated program that queries a web server, requests some data, and then parse the data to extract the needed information. We can easily understand this process through this visual. So let us assume that we have some client here, and here we are provided with some server. So in the initial phase, the client is going to request for some data to the server. Server receives the request and sends the response back to the client. Well, this interaction can be with the help of any given API, or we can directly read from a web page. In practice, web scraping encompasses a wide variety of programming techniques and technologies such as data analysis and information security. Well, by now you must have clearly understood what web scraping is. Well, there is a common confusion between web scraping and web crawling. So here we'll be talking about the differences between web crawling and web scraping. So what exactly is web crawling? Now, web crawling is a process of downloading and storing the content of large number of websites. So in web crawling, we basically download and store the content of large number of websites at a very huge scale. Think of Google. Now web scraping refers to the process of extracting individual data. So here in web scraping, we basically target some specific data from a given website. We do not target large number of websites or web scraping at a huge scale. So it is comparatively, web crawling is done at a larger scale and web scraping is at the small scale. So this gives us the second difference here, and that is this is done at a large scale and this is done at a small scale. Alright, so web crawling is basically used for extracting generic information. So when I say generic, that basically means whatever is available in the given website, every data or information will be extracted. Whereas web scraping is not about extracting, generic information. It is about extracting or yielding some specific or particular information that we are seeking from that website. Now there are major search engines which do web crawling. For example, we can think of Bing, we can think of Google, and or Yahoo. So they are the very good examples of web crawlers. Now here, the information that is extracted using web scraping can be used to replicate in some other websites, or it can be used to perform some data analysis. So this is done at an individual scale, and it has its particular purposes such as data analysis. And we do not look for everything which is available over the web page, but for a specific data. It can be the name of people, it can be addresses, it can be price of any product. So it can be any specific information. So I hope this discussion should clear your understanding about the differences between web crawling versus web scraping. Now, as we have understood the differences between web scraping and web crawling, now let us try to understand why web scraping is done or needed. Well, web is the only way to access internet through a browser. So within the given resources of web or browser or internet, we are missing a huge range of possibilities. Although browsers are handy for executing JavaScript, displaying images, and arranging objects in a more human-readable format, web scrapers are excellent at gathering and processing large amount of data. Let us understand it in a different way. Let us assume that rather than viewing one page at a time through the narrow window of a monitor, you can view database spannings thousands or even millions of pages at once. And thanks to web scraping for that. There are various use cases where web scraping is used. So there are tons and tons of platforms which are using web scraping for different purposes. Let's talk about e-commerce website. So e-commerce website use web scrapers to collect the data specifically related to the price of specific products from various e-commerce websites for their comparison. Now, the second use case can be content aggregators. Now, content aggregators use web scraping widely for aggregating the content, like the news aggregation or job aggregation, for providing updated data to their users. Now there are many marketing and sales individuals or campaigns who use web scraping to get the data like emails, phone numbers, etc. for sales and marketing campaign. So the other use case for web scraping can be SEO, that is search engine optimization. Web scraping is widely used by SEO tools like SEMrush or Majestic to tell business how to rank for search keywords that matter to them. Now web scraping is also used for machine learning. Retrieval of data for machine learning projects depend upon web scraping also. So researchers collect useful data for their purpose of research using web scraping. That is one of the other use cases of web scraping. So I hope this should give you a clear understanding of what are the various use cases where web scraping is used. Alright, so now we have a clear understanding of what web scraping is and where and how web scraping is used for solving different problem statements. Let us talk about the various tools that are used for scraping. So here we have Scrappy, BeautifulSoup, and there are various alternatives available. Scrappy. Scrappy is a Python framework for large-scale web scraping. It gives you all the tools you need to efficiently extract data from websites, process them as you want, and store them in your preferred structure or format. Then there is BeautifulSoup. BeautifulSoup is an amazing parsing library in Python. It enables the web scraping from HTML and XML documents. BeautifulSoup automatically detects the encodings and gracefully handles the HTML documents even with special characters. What we can do with BeautifulSoup, we can easily navigate or parse documents and find or extract what we need, which makes it quick and painless to extract the data from the web pages. So in this tutorial, we will learn how to build web scrapers using BeautifulSoup in detail. And there are some alternatives available, such as Selenium. Now, Selenium is another popular tool for automating browsers. It is primarily used for testing in the industry, but it can also be used or is very handy for web scraping as well. Alright, so now we have a clear understanding of what are the tools which are available in Python for web scraping. Let us start with a practical demonstration on understanding how to implement web scraping using the Python tools. So for this, we'll be using some of the modules such as request in Python as well as BeautifulSoup. Alright, so for the practical purpose here, I'm using Jupyter Notebook as the IDE. So I'll be using this IDE for the practical purposes. So let us start by creating a new notebook here. Let's change the title to Web Scraping in Action. So here we have prepared a Jupyter Notebook for the practical purposes, and the very first demonstration will be on scrapping the data from a particular website. And for this, we need a sample website for us. Now here, choosing a website for web scraping can be, illegal because it entirely depends on the website to allow scrapping the data or not. Well, it is a very gray area to think on because some websites allow scrapping, whereas some websites do not allow scrapping. For the practical purposes, we're going to use upgrad.com here, and let's see how it goes like. So this is upgrad.com. It's a very popular platform for learning the trending and demanding technologies for establishing one of the amazing career in tech domain. So here in upGrad, we are going to look for blogs here. So basically, like this section we are choosing here for scrapping, and we will be choosing one of the blog here. So let's find some interesting blogs. All right. Alright, so here I have chosen a blog here for web scraping. So we are going to extract the data from this particular web page. So this is a blog by Dilip Guru here, how to become a successful Instagram influencer in India. So here we have got this blog with us, and we'll be doing scrapping on this given blog. Let us see what we can do using scrapping using the given blog here. So for this, we'll be requiring to import a module here. So from urllib.request import URL open. So here from the urllib module, we are going to import a function called URL open. So here URL open is going to require a URL on which we are going to do the scrapping, and for this we'll be choosing this given URL here. I have copied it, and let's paste it here. So URL open. So what it does basically, right, what this URL open does, it returns the HTML source code of the given URL. So that HTML source code is actually stored here in this HTML object. All right, so here let's simply call a read function to read the HTML of the given blog here, and you can see that how easily we can retrieve the HTML source code of a given URL. So for retrieving the HTML, the function that we're using is URL open. We are supposed to provide the path here, and once we call read, we'll be able to read the HTML of the given blog. So that was the very first demo on how we can easily retrieve the source code of any given web page or endpoint. All right. Now let us look at another demonstration on how using web scraping we can extract the various sections from a given HTML document. For this we are going to use a BeautifulSoup library for this. So let us start with the demonstration here. For the easier understanding here, we are creating a variable called blog URL, and we'll be storing the URL in this variable. Let us import the bs4 import BeautifulSoup here. So here we are importing the BeautifulSoup library, and the URL open is already there. So we are going to retrieve the HTML for the URL open, and this time we're going to pass blog URL here. I think this is very easy for us to understand that from this blog URL open is going to fetch the data into HTML. Now here BeautifulSoup will be used here and passing the HTML source code to the Beautiful, and this bsobj is referring to the BeautifulSoup object. Now what we are doing here, basically we are retrieving the HTML using URL open and calling the read function here and passing this HTML to the BeautifulSoup. Now this bsobj is representing this BeautifulSoup object, which is indirectly pointing to the HTML source code. Now the reason for creating the BeautifulSoup object here is because of the functions and the properties exposed by BeautifulSoup here. Now you can see there are tons and tons of operations that we can do using BeautifulSoup object on the given HTML data. So let me give an example here. Let us suppose we want to extract the heading, right? So bsobj.h1. So we'll simply say bsobj.h1 here. Let's print it. So you can see here it clearly says how to become a successful Instagram influencer in India. So that is the very first heading of the document here. So that was pretty easy, using extracting a relevant or required content from the HTML. Now there are various ways to do the same operation here. We can simply say bsobj.html.body.h1. This will give us the same result. We can also say bsobj.body.h1 bsobj, that's O capital. So this will give us the same result, and we can simply say bsobj.html.h1. Look at that. So BeautifulSoup object automatically determines the nesting of a given element within the within the scope here. So no matter what expression we are using, we'll end up retrieving or getting the same results here. I hope this is understood by all of you, how we can extract a particular sections or particular element from a given object. All right, so let us look at another demonstration where we can do more scrapping and where we can find some more relevant data from the given page. So for this, in this scrapping, what we're going to do is basically we are going to target a specific element with a specific ID or a class from the HTML source code. So you can actually view the source code here in the browser as well. And so here in this page, actually you have to target that which section you want to work on. So there are tons and tons of sections here. Let us suppose I am looking for easy talk section. So here we have this easy talk section here. So it has some content here. It is a heading basically, and this class is easy talk section, and this class belongs to an element called span. So what we are going to do is, there are 3 sections here. We are going to fetch these sections using web scraping. So how do we do that? For that, we'll be using the BSOBJ object once again. And in this BSOBJ1 object, we're going to call a function called findAll. So findAll is a function for finding the elements. Now what element we are looking at? So the element that we're looking at is span. So here we'll specify span. So now this will end up retrieving all the span elements, but here we want to do more filtrations. So let us suppose we want to find a span only with a class attribute whose value is easy talk section. So here this expression basically means that we are finding only the span elements with a class and whose value is easy talk section. So here we're going to store the result in the element list here. So let us see exactly how element list looks like. So we can see here, this is how the element list looks like. If you compare the very first output here, only this section, ID, how to become an Instagram influencer in India, you will be able to compare the same here as well. You can see here, this is exactly the same content that we were aiming at or that we were targeting. Now, what kind of data it is? So this is a result set, right? And the results, the benefit of result set is that it is similar to list, which can be iterated upon. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a loop over this object here. So for element in element list here, let's print the element here. Look at that. So here we are able to print the elements here with ease. All right, so let's close it. Okay, so we can see the various elements here, and this is the output that we have fetched using scrapping. This was the targeted element. Let us refine this output in a more human readable format. Now this output consists of both HTML and the text here. So in the next version of this demonstration, we are going to call getText function, which will produce only the text instead of the HTML. So here you can see that the output is pretty clear, more human readable, and is more interpretable, right? All right, so that was this demonstration. Alright, so let us look at another demonstration where we are interested in picking some specific elements from our HTML source code. Let us suppose that we want to find all the headings starting from H1 till H6 in our HTML, and we want to see what all headings are there. For this, we'll be using the BSOBJ once again, and we are going to call findAll function for this. And here, if you're looking for multiple elements, you're supposed to specify the elements in a list here. Now this list is supposed to contain all those elements that you are looking for. So let us say we are looking for all the heading elements. So this findAll function is going to find all the elements specified in the list, and it is going to store inside this object called elements. Let us look at how this elements looks like. If you look at the output of this elements here, you can clearly see that it only consists of only those elements which were specified in the list. So it has H1, H2, H3s, H4s, h5 and h6. Although h5 doesn't looks like it is here, maybe it was not used in the source code. Now what we can do here, we can simply print these elements. So for tag in elements, print tag. So this is exactly the similar output here. Let's use the same function get text for retrieving the text only to make it look more human readable. So these are the headings of different versions in the HTML source code, and we were able to fetch all the headings using find all function. Alright, so let us look at another demonstration where we are looking for a parent element with some child elements. So here in this demonstration we will learn how to iterate through a nested element. So for this we are going again back to the source code of this blog here, and here let us look at a sample section from where we can fetch the child elements from the source code. And for this we are going to look for alright. So here we have an unordered list here, and the class of this unordered list is cat_temp-post wr. So ul is basically an element which is supposed to have some child elements in it. So this is a very good sample content here which can be targeted using Python, and we are willing to fetch all the child elements it is having inside it. So it is supposed to have multiple li elements inside it. So we are going to target all the li's within this ul. So how do we do that? So for this, again we are going to get back to the web scraping in action here, and this time we are going to say bsobj.find. Now here in the find function we are supposed to specify which element we are targeting. So the element that we are targeting here is ul, but do not forget that it is going to target all the ul elements. We are not looking for all the ul elements. We are looking for a specific ul where the value of the class attribute is cat_temp-post wr. Now how do we specify that? For that we are going to create a dictionary here. We'll say the class attribute and its value should be cat_temp-post wr. So this is the function that we are targeting, the element we are targeting. So here let's store the element inside the element object here. Let us print the element and let's see if we are able to target exactly the same content. So here it says ul class cat_temp-post wr. It says how to use Pinterest for marketing. Is it the same content that we targeted? Let us look at the source code. So it looks like we have targeted the same content, and the required content is there with us in the Python notebook. So here we have multiple elements with us. Now how to target these elements? So for this we have a property called children. Now children is going to return us an iterator. Now this iterator is basically containing all the childrens of the given element. If I provide you with the iterator, how it looks like. So let us construct a loop here and let's see what this iterator returns. So for child in element dot children, we're going to print child here. So this is exactly the same content here. So in order to figure out the differences, printing child here. Okay, and this is going to be end of child. So this is just for clarification that where the childs are starting and where they're ending. So there is a blank child here, we can see. So printing child here, and we can see that this is where the child is ending. There are some blanks here. So if you observe here, it is starting with li. Printing child here is starting with li, and at the same time printing child here is starting with li, you can see here, and at the same time you can see printing child here with li. So you can see here, so it is every time if you observe, it is beginning with the li, all right, which is the direct child of ul. All right, so let's make the output clean here. So this was the expected output here, and we are able to, retrieve the childs of the given ul. Now this is purely HTML. So luckily we have a provision of converting HTML into the UI or user interface using Python Jupyter Notebook, and we'll see in the next demonstration that how we can convert this HTML into a viewable notebook, user interface, sorry. All right, so in the previous demonstration we saw that how we can fetch the child elements of a given element. Now here, in order to make it more appealing, what we're going to do is we're going to convert this generated HTML into a UI or into a user interface, so that it looks more appealing to the decision makers, let's say. For this, we're going to import some required modules provided by the Jupyter Notebook, and those are from ipython.display import display and HTML. Now display and HTML are the functions that will help us in rendering those outputs into a user interface or into a UI form. And for this, let's look at the changes that we are supposed to do. In the previous demonstration, we basically fetched the element. So here I'm going to use the direct expression here, and bsobj.find. So in the previous expression we saw that we were fetching the element based on the class, and the element was ul, and the class value is getTemp -post wr dot children. Now this time I'm just using a direct loop here. We can do this, all right, that's completely fine. Now here in this child, what we have the HTML. So I'm going to convert it into a HTML form, and I'm going to store it in, let's say, some object here, and the object name can be anything. So this is chart. So in order to render this HTML into a presentable UI, I'm going to call the display here, right, and I'm going to pass chart. So this should end up rendering the HTML. Let's look at the output here. Oops, looks like there is some trouble. Well, errors are good. They basically help us, in knowing more about the codes. So I think it is looking for a string object here. So let's convert the child object into a string object, and look at that. So here, if you look at this demonstration, we are able to render the retrieved HTML here inside this Jupyter Notebook, and we can see the similar output here which we had here in the original website. So that should be somewhere down the bottom here. So this is the section that we basically fetched: how to use Pinterest for marketing, what is dwell time and how to increase dwell time, how to do guest blog in 2021. I think these are really good blogs here, which we have here as well. And do the links works? Yes, the links are working. Great, but not into that. All right, so let's scroll down and here is the notebook. So I hope you have clearly understood how we can render the HTML fetched from any web page, any given web page inside the Jupyter Notebook for more presentable outputs. Alright, so that was a demonstration on some text mining on the web pages using Python libraries here. But in the given demonstrations we were dealing with only text. Now this time we are going to move from text scrapping to the image scrapping. So in this demonstration we will see exactly how we can fetch the images from a website or from a given web page. Now this is really important because working with web page is an important aspect of any web scraping task. So let us look at the demonstration here in which we will understand how to scrap images. Alright, so for this we're going to create the object once again here. Now this is not really necessary. This is just for quick revision here. And this time we're going to use BeautifulSoup here, and HTML is provided here, and here we're going to use the HTML parser argument. Alright, so this is the BS object. It has all the HTML inside it. You can see here, right? Now what we are seeking here is we are seeking to display the images from, or fetch the image URLs from this document. So how do we do that? And for this we are going to use find all function, right? Find all is going to return us all the elements which are matching with a given criteria. So we want to fetch the images, and in HTML the element which represents the images is img. Now here what images we want to fetch. As you already know that in websites the developers use images of different extensions. They can be JPG, they can be PNG, sometimes you can see GIF as well. So we want to fetch all these formats. So here we are going to say that fetch all the images from the document HTML source code where the value of source matches with re.compile. Now here re is basically the regular expression. Alright, so here we are taking help of regular expression here for filtering the records. Now before we use re, we are supposed to import the regular expression module here like this. Alright, so I have imported it, and now coming back to the source code here. Now this compile function is going to contain the expression for filtering the JPG, PNG and GIF images. And for that we're going to use this expression here, dot slash dot. We're going to have JPG, PNG, GIF and $. I think this should work as expected. Alright, and we're going to store the images here. So this is an expression that we'll be using for filtering the images from the given HTML doc. So I'm using here a function called find all, passing the img here, which is the element for images, and we are saying that fetch only those images whose src or source attribute matches with or ends with JPG, PNG or GIF. Now let us see exactly what we have in the images. Alright, look at that. We have lots and lots of images here. You can see clearly here that this is img, img, img and so on. That looks beautiful. Now what we're going to do here is that we're going to iterate through all the elements. So for image in images, print image. So here we are iterating through all the images and we can see all the image elements here. Now let us suppose that we are interested only the src attribute and we want to exclude all the content except the src. So the expression would be square bracket src. So what does this expression means? This expression simply means that we are basically extracting only the given attribute from the given element. So here we can see that we are able to extract only the images path from the given HTML talk. Now look at that, how easy it is to extract the content from HTML using BeautifulSoup here. So I hope this demonstration is clearly understood to all of you, and I hope we are appreciating the features provided by these Python libraries to us for extracting the relevant data with less pain. All right. Okay, so this time let us look at another demonstration where instead of targeting the images, we will target the hyperlinks. Now hyperlinks are very important when it comes to navigation from one page to another page. So using hyperlinks, we can actually determine that what are the various other sections are provided in a given page in which we can move on to. So in this lab, let us look at a demonstration for extracting the hyperlinks only from the given page. For this, we're going to use links object here, and again using the findAll function. As we all know that hyperlinks are basically referred by or represented by the A element. So here we are saying A. So if we execute the given demonstration and if we look at the links here, we must end up seeing hyperlinks only. Now if you look at the output here, we have A, href, A, href, A, href, and so on. So this is giving us the hyperlinks of the document, and there are hundreds of hyperlinks here. Now this information extracted is not much presentable. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it presentable, right? For that, we're going to run a loop over the links. So for link and links, print link. So if you look at the output here, this is exactly the same output, but what is the difference here? The difference is that we're going to fetch only the href attribute from the given links. So if you look at this output here, right? So we have, we have the various links here, which are, telling us that to which pages we can move on to. All right. So using these hyperlinks, we can actually form a crawler later. All right. So there are some errors as well. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to add a condition here. So only print hyperlinks href attributes value if href is there in the attributes of the link. So attributes. So that is going to be S here. Okay, so now this time we don't see any errors here, and the output is good. So we have extracted all the hyperlinks from the given page. All right, so let us look at another demonstration which will be entirely will start from web scraping to converting it to a data frame and then storing it in the form of an Excel file. So this is a quick tour of scrapping through data frame to analysis to saving the output. So let's see exactly how it goes like. For this activity, we are going to take help from Wikipedia here. Languages of India. So let's go to this page here. So here we have a web page called Languages of India. So what we are looking here is basically we are looking to fetch these languages from this section, right? And let's look at the table here, which is containing this data. So you can see here that there is a table called Wikitable sortable, which is containing the records here. So we're going to target this table element, and we're going to retrieve the records from here. For this, let us write the query here. So this time I'm going to use the requests module here, request module. So and the link is basically languages of India. So we'll just simply copy and paste it here, and let us extract the HTML. So request dot get link dot text. So here this is a very short expression for extracting the HTML. You can see here we have the HTML with us. Now what we are going to do is we are going to pass this HTML to the BeautifulSoup for the easy extraction of the required content. So how it is going to look like? So this is going to look like this, and this is going to be our bs_obj. Now this bs_obj is again containing the same text here. Let's call prettify so that we see it in a little better way, but this doesn't look like better. That's fine. Let's move on. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to target that element, right? So what was the element that we were targeting? So that was a table, right? Was that all the tables, or was it a specific table? That was a specific table where the class is wikitable sortable. So we'll just copy it from here and we will paste it here. All right, so let's store it here, right? Wikitable. So we'll just store it here inside wikitable. So wiki underscore tpl here, and here it looks like we have fetched the right table, because here we can see Hindi, here we have English here, and Bengali and Marathi, and so on. So we have the beautiful languages here. So using BeautifulSoup, we are able to extract the required content here. Now what we are going to do is you can see that all the languages are actually contained inside the hyperlink here. Now the next thing that we are supposed to do is to fetch the links from this table. Now how do we do that? And for that we're going to refer to the wikitable object here, dot find all the hyperlinks. So this is going to be our links. All right, so here we should have the table links with us. Let's look at the output and let's see if we have the links with us. So it looks like we have the links here. So they look good actually. Now some links are okay, there's a title here, you can see, right? So in the languages we have the titles, but here there are some links where we don't have titles. So these are the links for some site note. So they are irrelevant for us, right? So these links are irrelevant for us. We are seeking only those hyperlinks who has the attribute called title right here. So how do we do that? For this, first of all, we are going to prepare an empty list here called languages for storing the languages. For links in table links, print links. If you observe here, it is printing the same links here, right? But it is printing these site note links as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to filter, right? So if links.get title is not none. So what does it means? It means that if the title is not none or null, look at this, right? Look at the output here. If you observe this new output, the site notes link have been removed. Why? Because in site notes we were not having the link, we were not having the title attribute. So here these are the only records where the title is not null. Now what are we going to do with this? We are going to fetch the titles from this links. So I'm going to say print links dot get title. Look at that. So here we have the title with us. Okay, so but there is a trouble here. The trouble is that it has some languages expression with it. So I'm going to use the slicing expression here. Links dot get title dot index of space. All right, so looks like there's some trouble here. Let me check. All right, so where are we missing here? After Gujarati, we are facing some trouble here. Let's see what is the value after Gujarati. So we have Urdu here. Okay, looks like there is no space here. I think that is the issue. Okay, not an issue. So let me fix this. So this is going to look like this, space 0, and we have the languages with us in a proper presentable manner. So here these languages will be appended in this list here. So I'm going to simply add this expression here, and we must have languages with us in a list form, and that looks beautiful. Now what we are going to do is we are going to convert this data, this languages, into a data frame. For that we are going to use import pandas as pd, and pd.dataframe. We are going to pass languages here, and we are going to call it df. Now look at that. So here, so we started from web scraping to extracting the relevant languages into our data frame. Now here we can use our analytical skills to analyze the data. Once we have, once you are done with the analysis, what you can do is you can save the output like this. File equals to pd.excelwriter, and here I'm going to save this file in my F drive. Let's say Indian languages.xlsx, and the engine that we're going to use is xlsx writer, and simply df.toExcel, and we're going to pass writer here, and our sheet name is going to be the lang or languages, and writer.save, file.save. Oops, we are supposed to pass the file reference here. Okay, so we are done saving the file in an Excel file. Let's go to F drive, and here we can see an Excel file called Indian languages. If we open this file, we see the data, exactly the same data that we fetched from Wikipedia. Alright, so that was the end of this demonstration, starting from scrapping to pandas data frame to saving it in the Excel form, guys. Alright, so that comes to the end or conclusion of this video session. So I hope you liked the content of the video. If yes, do not forget to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for latest updates. Thank you for watching the video. I'll see you next time. Take care.